Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy. The dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
This is the next search on February 28, 2020, 7:44 p.m. How, does the FBI find people? And people's misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E.
I object.
Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case? Oh, she found out.
What more do we need to see?
It's bigger than you. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than all of us.
All right, welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Hopefully lunch was good for you. Good for all of you. Let's see, where are we at? There we go. We're coming back. All right, we're approaching the beginning of part 2 of day 7 in this trial. I closed my rings. Congratulations. Just saw the Commonwealth has filed a motion to have Turtle Boy's bail revoked. Whoa. Wow. Oh, that's crazy. Jen's following a little bit here and there. Usually at the end of the day, she'll watch a little bit, but not a lot. All right, you took a nap. That's a great thing to do during a lunch break. That is fantastic. Let's see, look at my fancy view and dinner, mod chat. Okay, as someone who ate like half a salad, you're showing off. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what that is, Josh. I know you've got like the world's best view. Your plate, the plate he sends me, the plate is probably, I don't know, like I need to cut to a different view here. Here we go. The plate is this big and the food is like that big in the middle. So it must be expensive. A little tiny morsel of meat with a tiny carrot next to it. Big plate, little food. It sounds expensive, Josh. It sounds delicious. And great view as well. Loving Italy. All right. Are we buffering? We should not be buffering. I don't see any buffering. Not on my end. Welcome all. Let's see. Josh must be going to the wrong Italian restaurants. I thought they had like big plates, big food in Italy. Note to self, Italy has small portions. Yeah, we're watching for updates right now on everything that's happening. If you're buffering, it's on your end, and you should blame Angelique. Angelique, is there chat on the screen? Now it is. There you go. Angelique, first in chat this afternoon. We're going to sentence you to internet ownership. You've won before, and now you've won again. We're adding this to your permanent record. You are being punished for being first in chat. You have to fix everything IP related. It's the entire internet, worldwide. So, job. It's better than Red Lobster. Yeah, that topic's off limits now. I can't talk about lobster anymore. Alyssa says I'm going to Italy in June. Well, Josh has some recommendations on restaurants depending on how much food you like to be served for you, Alyssa. And good luck. Have fun in Italy. Red. Yeah. Nope. Not going there. Can everyone please explain who Turtle Boy is? Becky Lou. Turtle Boy is a content creator and media, a new media individual who took interest in this case probably before anyone else really was interested. Is probably single-handedly credited with raising the profile of the awareness of this case, particularly in favor of Karen Reed, early on, very, very early on, and has played a prominent role near or in the courtroom as a reporter, and outside the courtroom as a vocal protester / reporter. His style is different and is often maybe characterized as abrasive and unapologetic, and strongly believes in what he is doing and in Karen's innocence, and has worked on this, and has worked, I guess you could say, pretty closely with the defense, which is, what information might be coming out here soon. Close enough that when there was some allegations of witness tampering, and his name was brought up as the person who did it, the judge, they pressed charges, and they're going forward with those charges and those hearings. That's happening sort of at the same time of this trial in another courtroom. And it's that ongoing proceeding that is keeping him from being present while certain witnesses testify in court, because he's not allowed to be there when the witnesses who say that he threatened them or harassed them are here. But he's one of those people you either love or hate. And he goes by the name Turtle Boy. All right. I agree. I can support his pursuit of justice. Harassing is off the table. It's not appropriate. The Commonwealth is trying to revoke his bail. He's currently out on bail, pending this hearing, pending the prosecution. And his hearing starts at 2, so he's not, that starts in 9 minutes. Let's see. There we go. Let's see. We're not getting a feed yet. So the only outcome of this trial will be Proctor fired and Turtle Boy jailed. Greena's not sure. I don't know if they have enough evidence to jail him. I know that there might be some information that comes out in that trial. He has said he would plead the fifth if he's called as a witness in this trial. He was on the witness list for the state. They were going to call him, probably as rebuttal to Jen McCabe. I think Jen is trying to get into something that she was able to bring the first trial, which was the harassment level. They've talked about so many times the traumatized events, the shared experience that people have gone through, and how they've discussed that many times. She's trying to get that information in where she can say that they were harassed, like she did last time. And so far, she hasn't been able to get that in. But we'll see. All right. How does chat feel about lying to the FBI? Individually, like personally, I recommend not doing it. Are you talking about Jen McCabe telling people that she hadn't called anyone else when she had, just minutes before? That's not a good look. I'm sure the jury took note of that. I'm not sure how much. I mean, does that mean they discount her entire testimony, discredit everything, or just, weigh that in the balance? Yeah, generally not recommended is how I would respond to lying to the FBI. All right, Steph, it's not as bad as it was during round one. Kids are having fun here. By the way, the bathroom. The wiring project has been rewired now, and it's almost done. We need maybe another 12 feet of 12-2 electrical line, which means we've used 100 feet of electrical line wiring my bathroom, which is funny because the entire thing, I mean, you stand sideways, you can touch the walls both direction. It's tiny, and 100 feet of electrical line. Aaron Blackman says, all right, I find it unsettling how open the judge is with her dislike toward the defense. I don't think she likes Jackson, being a West Coast lawyer, being in her court. I don't think she likes him personally. I don't think it's that she only wants locals there. I know that a lot of people have said you guys don't understand unless you're here, or that the idea of who belongs and who doesn't. I don't understand. I don't see that in what she does. I think it's more that she doesn't like his style or how he litigates. It doesn't fit very well in her courtroom, according to her, as opposed to no outsiders allowed, locals only club. All right, let's give us a minute. We'll see if we can get some fan going here. Whew, well, that's better. So much better. So much cooler here. Vicky, I don't know if the Turtle Boy hearing is going to be live, but it's going to be during the cross-examination of Jen McCabe, and I can tell you where I'm going to be, and that's here with the cross-examination. Has anyone got a timestamp for whatever the FBI thing is? I had visitors. I might be able to take you back to that point. Let's see. Let's see. You're hearing audio from
your
replay.
motive in calling Carrie Roberts at that moment. Yes or no?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So when you said...
Here we go. I'll play this for you. Ready?
It's pretty binary. Had you talked... Well, let me ask you this. In point of fact, you did talk to other people. You contacted others. In addition to Matt McCabe and Carrie Roberts, correct? Yes or no?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So when you said no to the answer, did you contact anyone other than Matt and Carrie? That would be, by definition, Ms. McCabe, a lie. Correct?
No.
It's not a lie? Is there some shade of lie that I'm not aware of?
It's the way you're asking the question. If I could explain,
let me ask
it will make more sense to you.
Okay.
The agents asked you. I'm going to go over
So we're going to stop right there. That's the FBI bit back and forth where the FBI asked her, did you call anyone else? She said no. She had called other people, and she doesn't believe that was telling them a lie. Meg says, did you guys see the judge? The judge is a psychic medium. What? It sounds like somebody's got a funny post up somewhere. People are imitating the judge and making videos all over the place. So, let's see. What is the reason Commonwealth is given for revoking his bond? Virginia, I would guess just on the surface, without knowing any of the data, there would have to be some additional action that would show a violation of the terms of his bond, the conditions of his bond, meaning he approached somebody he wasn't supposed to, or he was in a place where he wasn't supposed to be when he wasn't supposed to be there. There would have to be some sort of violation that the Commonwealth is alleging for them to do that. Otherwise, there's no reason to revoke the bond. The bond is there in place as a guarantee that you will follow the rules. And as long as that guarantee is in place, you can be free. You can go out and you can just return on your own recognizance when court has, the next hearing. If he violated that, then the state, the Commonwealth, would come up and say, look, we told him these are the rules, and we let him play, we let him be free, and he's not following the rules, thus revoke the bond. So there's got to be some violation they're alleging, which could be as benign, I say benign, but as simple as contacting somebody and that person contacting one of the witnesses and saying, Turtle Boy told me to tell you this, or something like that. That could be enough. That could be a violation of the bond conditions. They aren't revoking the Turtle Boy's bonds. Judge decided that last hearing. I heard that they did it again, so maybe I'm wrong. No, if they're not revoking the bond, there probably was not a violation, or if there was a violation, it was not serious enough to constitute a change in the bond conditions. No, she's legit. What? Meg, are you pulling my leg, or is this just where are you getting your information on that? There's a motion to revoke today. So, okay, Meg, that's what I'm hearing, Megan. That there's a new motion to revoke today, and that would not have been ruled on prior to the hearing. Curious to see if Paul gets his seat back. We're late starting. It's now 2:00 straight up here on the East Coast. I watched some of Turtle Boy's streams, says Aaron Blackman, and let's just say he isn't afraid to hide his feelings towards the Commonwealth. Why I appreciate our freedom of speech. Sometimes we got to learn to be quiet for a while. You know, I hear that. I think there's a point where the just open and free conversation can be less helpful, although equally protected. So yes, 100% he has the right to say what he wants to say, but might not be helpful the way he's saying it. Teresa, you're loving that new HDMI cable. That's great. All right. Lots of noise out there. I was awakened this morning as we wait for court to begin by my youngest son, who had found a piece of PEX pipe, which is that the blue and the red water pipe for inside homes. And he had found the way to use it as a trumpet and get it to resonate at that perfect pitch where it's like definitely loud. And he was running from room to room announcing that it was time to get up with the trumpet. It was pretty funny. And he's doing it now. That's why I'd say that. So good morning. Yes, that was my alarm clock. Virginia, I see your statement there. I think a reporter is anyone who reports. You might not like the way they report, and I'll tell you, I don't like the way he reports. But other reporters, not a lot of them, not generally, but other reporters do yell profanities at people and call people names. It happens. It's usually the end of their career, but it happens. People are people. My alarm clock's a recording of Jen. Is that why you were pinning comments at 6:30 a.m.? What? Maybe. I did pin a comment of yours this morning, I think. I'm trying to get all your comments pinned because you do such a good job, Sloth Life. Maybe you can turn the pipe into a potato cannon. Don't give him any ideas. He will. I was actually awake. It was not an errant slip. Let's see. Virginia, you're right. He's probably one of the most outspoken individuals in this case, especially ones who are frequently at the courthouse or at the scene. There are plenty of other people on YouTube who, from the safety of our studios, make all the comments we want from a distance. He's been very close and in person, and I'll say he's been very abrasive. I'm not saying he's wrong. I haven't heard everything he said, so I can't vouch one way or another that way. I'd say some of the stuff he brought out is right, but I'm not a big fan of this style. But he has every right to do it, and I would defend his right to be able to do that. All right. I'm glad everyone had a good lunch. It looks like we're all calmed down. We can all be friends again, which is wonderful because that's the way I like it. It would be hard to roll over and go back to sleep after hearing Jen. Yeah, I imagine so. Suddenly Jimmy Kimmel's here. What? I didn't see Jimmy Kimmel. Had a meeting I had to miss a bunch right when something was happening in court. Right now, recap, please. All right. The something that happened in court, the last break, the first break of the day, was supposed to be 20 minutes, ended up being like 40 or 50. During that time, we know that the courtroom was sort of like people were ordered out, and the judge met with the families and the lawyers. At the end of that meeting, there was a musical chairs moment where the O'Keefe family was shuffled around. And we don't know if the judge ordered that. There's a speculation that some of their conversations at sidebar in the courtroom, in the invisibility of the jurors, was objected to, probably by the defense, where the judge might have seen it herself and said there's a problem there. And Paul, who was normally seated at that end bench where he sat for the entire first trial and everything up to this point of the second trial, is now in a different position. So we'll see where he is when he comes back from lunch. They also appear to be looking away almost intentionally and visibly frustrated, probably with a ruling. But they probably got their hands slapped a little bit and told to dial it back a little bit with their responses or their reactions. That would be my guess. Let's see. So, AZ, that's the closest update I have for you. Selena K says, just found out some great news. My insurance company's going to cover an electric wheelchair for me. Okay, guys, stay off the sidewalks if you're in Selena's neighborhood because she's going to be trucking around. That's great news. That gives you some mobility back, and I know that's huge. That is awesome. I'm excited for you, Selena. How fast can it do 0 to 60? I'm curious. Drama Llama, you missed a little bit of drama. There's been a tiny bit. Obviously, Jen McCabe is still on the stand. We expect her to return. This became a familiar look. This is her looking right at AJ during questioning and under fire. When the question gets very pointed, she almost doesn't look at all at the jury. It's almost just like a side glance with an answer, and then immediately return back to the person who's stalking her, which is AJ, as he moves in for the kill. He hasn't got the kill. I would say Jen McCabe's done a great job thus far on her testimony, and hasn't given him a lot to play off of yet. But there is some stuff from previous testimony. There is some stuff from previous trial appearances that he gets to go into, and that's still coming up. All right. Musical chairs was kind of strange. It is. I'm just watching to see if they're super frustrated going forward. Let me turn the sound off while I skip around. Here's a cut. Here's a view of what it looked like. You see Paul there in the middle in that front row. He's in the light blue shirt, sitting next to Peggy. He normally sits on the far right side of the screen. That would be his position. And him looking down like that, intentionally not looking towards the jury, he does that during the breaks. I wonder if he almost lost the privilege of being in the courtroom, which is huge, because he is a family member, a victim's family member, right? His brother is the decedent in this case. So him being relegated to that position and that behavior means the judge probably was not very happy with him. Okay, coming back right now. Selena says, I promise I won't drink and drive. Thank you very much. Mavia, doesn't help that Paul keeps making faces like he's playing charades. I think that stopped.
Court of the session, please be seated.
All right, can we have Miss McCabe back, please?
Of course we have a sidebar. So we just panned down from the ceiling in time to pan back up to the ceiling, I think. Let's see if they'll show the family. And, well, positions are a little different. I don't see Paul. Oh, is he on the back row? Was he on the back row there? I was looking on the front row. There's the parents of Jen. Just going back through the replay to see. Yep, Paul has been moved to the back row. Look at this. He's right behind Peggy. Paul and his wife are on the back row. So, parents of Karen. Did I say Jen? Yeah, got them wrong. Sorry. Karen's parents. That's strike 2, says Camilla. That's my second. Next time, capital punishment. See that look? He's looking down. He's not. He's obviously avoiding the eye line of the jury right now. Not making contact. Curious if they'll tell us what happened there. I sincerely doubt that the complaint was filed by a jury member, first of all. I think it would have to be something from defense. If a juror did say something about it, that has got to be the best news that the defense could ever hope for, because that tells you that the juror member is already not happy with one side. Who is Paul? Paul is John's brother. He's sitting directly behind Peggy. Peggy's sitting there in the light blue cardigan. Paul has the shaved head and the light blue shirt, the button-up polo style behind her.
All right, sorry about the delay, jurors. We were told that we blew a fuse, and that's why we couldn't get started on time. So these old courthouses.
Somebody blew a fuse.
All right, we appreciate your patience. Go ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. McCabe, when you first saw Ms. Reed's SUV pull up, very shortly thereafter, you sent a text to John O'Keefe, correct?
I walked to the door, saw the car, and that's when I sent him a text, yes.
Right. So you walked up to the door, saw the SUV outside, and then texted him something at that, basically while you're standing at the door?
I believe so, yes.
What did you text him?
Here?
Okay. That was, do you remember the time?
I don't know.
Would it refresh your recollection if you were to look at a series of text messages contained in a Celebrite report? I think you've seen this before.
Sure.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. May I ask one foundational question before I give this to the witness? Ms. McCabe, I'm going to ask you about a series of text messages. It's not a memory contest in terms of the timing. I'm going to ask you about probably 5 or so. All of those purport to be contained in here. Do you remember the times of those 5 texts?
I don't off the top of my head.
Do you think it would refresh your recollection to look at all those in one felled swoop as you look at this document? So I don't have to go back and forth?
Are these in evidence?
This is not in evidence to my knowledge. Not yet.
Do they help you to remember?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you bring it to Ms.
McCabe?
It's interesting. The judge maybe not trying to get these in.
Thank you. This is just my sake. This one is. Yeah, I think that's sure. I might in terms of that. Ms. McCabe, if you wouldn't mind, take a look at the tabs, not that whole document.
Okay.
2 days. Take a look at the tabs and go in reverse chronological order and see if that refreshes your recollection about the time and content of text messages that you sent to Mr. O'Keefe that early morning of January 29th.
Okay. Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm not going to have to remember the exact times of all 5, am I?
I'll help.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. McCabe, did you see a text on here that was consistent with your memory that you texted here?
Yes.
And was that at 12:14, I'm sorry, at 12:27 a.m.?
I don't know if exactly, I'm assuming if it's on that paper.
If I may have just a moment, Your Honor.
Sounds like AJ is going to try to get these admitted. They have to be relevant. They have to get by the hearsay.
Why don't I see counsel at sidebar for just a minute?
Why don't you? Or I would like to. I think she wants to. I can't read him. I know they're not happy, but all right. Welcome, Boston. Who was that? Who came in? Boston Brandy, welcome to the chat. Good to have you here. We don't want to assume anything, but I think she wants to know if these are coming in. If they're coming in with the objectionable, because this process of fighting back and forth about the date and the timestamp on a document that we trust based on the timestamp that's on it might be quicker if we can get through this. I don't think Mr. Brennan, though, is going to give the defense anything.
Ms. McCabe, we're going to make it a little easier for you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
He's allowed to say the time? Allowed to lead?
May I?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would offer the following stipulation at 12:14:27 on January 29th, 2022. Text message from Jen McCabe text message from John O'Keefe's phone to Jen McCabe's phone. Where to? At 12:27, all these are on January 29th, 2022, at 12:27:33 from Jennifer McCabe's phone to John O'Keefe's phone. Here, exclamation point, question mark. Same date, 12:31 and 47 seconds from Jen McCabe's phone to John O'Keefe's phone. Pull behind me. Same date, 12:40 and 31 seconds from Jen McCabe's phone to John O'Keefe's phone. Hello. 12:42 and 9 seconds. Text message from Jennifer McCabe's phone to John O'Keefe's phone. Where are the letter U?
Okay, thank you.
Finally, 12:45 and 53 seconds from Jen McCabe's phone to John O'Keefe's phone. Hello.
Okay. That would have been painful to
I would offer
get
the
through.
stipulation that those are correct times and dates and content of the text messages between John O'Keefe's phone and Jennifer McCabe's phone on January 29, 2022.
All right, and that's what you're agreeing to, Mr. Brennan?
Yes, Your Honor, it's contained in the Cellbrite report.
Okay. All right, folks, so I told you yesterday about a stipulation when I talked about something in the front lawn. This is similar. So what you just heard, both lawyers agree that that's information contained in a Cellbrite report.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I continue?
Yes.
At some point, you indicated that, and by the way, Ms. McCabe, at 12:27, it's now been stipulated to, you texted a single word, here, exclamation point, question mark, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You indicate that you saw the SUV move up after it was in front of the 34 Fairview residence, it moved up some number of feet, correct?
The next time I looked, it was at a different location.
Right. Now, you did not see the white Jeep move from the place that you originally saw it in front of the mailbox, correct?
I never looked out at the white Jeep.
But you never saw that move, ever?
No.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Higgins, that Jeep was in the same spot while Mr. Higgins was inside the residence until he left, correct?
That's what I would assume, yes.
Okay. And you never saw him go out and move his car and come back in or anything like that?
I never did, no.
After you, it's fair to say that once you noted that the SUV, Miss Reed's SUV, was in front of the location, you started paying some attention to it.
I went to the door a few times to look out, yes.
As a matter of fact, in the course of about 19 minutes, you went to the door no fewer than 5 times, correct?
I'm not sure if it was 5.
You've indicated previously that for every time you went to the door and saw the SUV, you texted something, which are the texts contained in the document that was just stipulated to. Is that right?
I did text 5 times. You are correct.
Okay. So it's fair to say if you texted 5 times, then you went to the door 5 times if those were associated with one another. You walk up, look out the door, see the SUV, and text something. Here, pull behind me, where are you? Those texts, correct?
I remember going to the front door, seeing the car, and texting here. When I went to the door the second time, the car had moved up towards the flagpole, and I texted, pull behind me, because I thought, did they not know where to park? Did they think they were at the wrong house?
So my question is this. Every time you went to the door, you texted something?
I'm not sure that I did, yes.
Do you remember
I'm not sure that I did, sorry.
Do you remember a year ago testifying that every single time you texted, you indicated that you looked out at the SUV and saw something that prompted you to text something?
Am I aware that I said that?
Correct, that you testified to that.
Could you show that to me, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Here we go. This is confronting her with prior testimony. She sort of answered a little bit differently,
yes,
or hesitantly.
Look at the highlighted portion and just read that to yourself. Let me know when you're finished.
If AJ has restated this improperly, she's going to try to correct it in her answer. If her memory's changed, that looks bad on her.
Okay.
May I?
Yes.
Ms. McCabe, does that refresh your recollection about the issue we were just talking about?
I see what's written down, yes.
Okay. Did you testify in answer to the following question? And as a matter of fact, you looked every single time that you texted, you indicated that you looked out at the SUV and saw something that prompted you to text something, correct? Answer, correct.
I answered correct to that,
Okay.
yes.
So if you looked out, I'm sorry, if you texted 5 times, that's all I'm getting to, you went to the door about 5 times.
I'm not sure. I remember definitely going twice. And again, if I misstated or I said I went 5 times, 4 times, I apologize.
Well, do you think this testimony is in error?
No, I don't. I'm thinking with my memory, it was 3 years ago, and I'm thinking that maybe I wasn't clear on that detail of how many times that I went to the door.
And
what I can tell you I'm clear on is that I did go twice, and I saw it. I saw it straight ahead. I saw it at the flagpole, and a third time further up. I cannot say with certainty with my memory today that I was up at that door every single time. I'm sorry.
And then, and by the way, when you testified, as you just saw, that was a year ago, correct?
Yes.
A year earlier and a year closer to the event, correct?
Yes, it was.
Your memory would have been a little bit fresher then than it is now, a year later.
I don't think I can compare my memory then to now.
You can't compare your memory? Do you think your memory gets better with time or fades a little with time?
Well, some things, unfortunately, I think about every single day with this case, the trauma of
Sure.
it and what I experienced and went through. And there are some things that I am certain I will never forget. And I know for sure where the car was, and I know for sure I sent those 2 texts. But I apologize if I misstated. I went out more than I did. I'm just trying to give you what I remember today.
Let's talk about those texts and and you looking out the door. You did approach the door and you saw that the vehicle was there the initial time, correct? That's 1.
When I texted here, yes.
And you texted here, exclamation point, question mark. Is that right?
Correct.
And you indicated that when you first saw the vehicle, it was straight out ahead of you in front of the front door, and it was stationary. Is that right?
Yes.
Then you said you went back to the door and you saw that it had moved up, quote, a little bit. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Toward the flagpole. Is that right?
It was at the flagpole, yes.
And when you saw that it had moved up toward the flagpole, then you texted again at 12:40, which has been stipulated to, hello. Is that right?
When I saw it move up to the flagpole, I believe I texted pull behind me.
When you went the second time, and by the way, it's my mistake. I got I jumped over one. It was 12:31:47, which we stipulated to pull behind me. That's when the SUV was up closer to the flagpole, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Then you went yet again at 12:40 and saw the SUV yet again and texted hello. It was the second hello.
I'm not sure if that was when I texted hello.
But you did see that the SUV had moved again.
Yes.
Now where was it?
At first it was straight ahead, then it was at the flagpole, and then it was further up.
Then at 12:42, 2 minutes later, you texted, where are you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. At that point, it was still up by the flagpole?
No, I'm not saying that it was still outside.
Where was it?
I'm not sure where the vehicle was.
At 12:45, you texted yet again, hello. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
You indicated that was, you texted hello the last time you saw the vehicle. Is that right?
I'm not saying that today, no.
Well, did you say it previously?
In my testimony, did I say that the last time I texted? Do you have that written that I could see?
You just read it.
Well, that was your question that you had read to me. I never came out and said that.
Ms. McCabe, I asked you if you testified to that a year ago. That's my question. Did you testify to that a year ago, that when you went, every single time you went to the door, you texted something because seeing the vehicle prompted you to text something to John?
That's a summary of maybe the...
Did you testify to that a year ago?
To what? That when I went to the door? Yeah, different times when I went to the door, I did text, yes.
And then you testified as well that you went to the door a final time and saw that the SUV was gone. It had left, correct?
Yes, at one point I did.
Okay. And that was just a couple of minutes after your last text at 12:45, is that right?
I'm not sure of the time.
Matter of fact, you've testified previously that it was around 12:50 that you last went to the door and noted that the car was completely gone. Is that right?
I'm not sure of that.
You're not sure of that?
No, if you could show me, I'd appreciate it.
At some point, did you note that the vehicle was gone? Let's get to that.
Yes.
Around what time was that?
I do not know.
12:45, a little before, a little after?
I'm not sure. I can't give a time.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at how you testified to that particular time last year?
Sure.
May I?
Yes.
Thank you. The highlighted portion,
Thank you.
Ms. McCabe?
He may not be winning points as far as her testimony goes, but he would be winning some points with her forgetting lots of details and having to be refreshed over and over and over.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ms. McCabe, does that refresh your recollection as to what time last year you indicated that you went to the door and saw that the SUV was gone?
It says on the paper that I was asked if after 12:45 it was gone, and I answered correct.
Okay.
I never gave it time.
All right. And that coincides with the last hello that you texted to John's phone, correct?
Again, I don't have that paper in front of me. Is that the
Well,
time?
that's the stipulation. That's what you don't need to worry about.
Okay.
That's been stipulated to. Your last hello text was
She
at
looks to the
12:45.
prosecution.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
so that coincides, that
feedback
testimony from
from
last
Mr.
year
Lally and
coincides
Mr. Brennan.
with your last text message saying hello. You noted that the SUV at that point had gone, had left, correct?
Correct.
So if I hear your testimony correctly, you saw the SUV in position 1.
Yes.
There was a text or something, or 2 maybe. Then you saw it in position 2. You went back to the door and noted that SUV had moved and it was now closer to the flagpole, correct?
We've just asked 2 questions.
It had moved closer to the
The
flagpole.
first question is you said I saw it and I sent a text or 2. I know I just said 1 here.
Okay. Then you saw it a second time,
Correct.
and now it's closer to the flagpole.
Yes, correct.
And there's texting going on. I'm not getting down to the minute of the text, but there's texting going on. You're sending texts.
I'm sending, yes.
Okay. Then you went back to the door a third time and saw that it had moved beyond the flagpole, correct?
Correct.
Then, according to your testimony last year, you went back to the door at least a 4th time to see that it was gone, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so at bare minimum, based on your testimony today, you were at the door, looking out the window at that portion of either the yard directly in front of you, and in front of the house, or toward the flagpole, or beyond the flagpole, 4 times. Correct?
From last year's testimony, but what I remember today
No,
with
Ms. McKay, that's not
certainty
my
is
question.
twice.
You need to let her answer the question. Answer your question, please.
Go ahead.
Okay. What I remember certainty is looking at it out front, at the flagpole, and beyond. I don't remember how many times I went up to the door. I was back and forth.
Right. But according to you, you saw the car in 3 different positions, correct?
Correct.
So that's at least 3 times to the door, correct?
Correct.
And you saw the car gone, right?
Correct.
3 plus 1 is 4, correct?
Correct.
So now you're telling us that you went to the door a minimum of 4 times and looked across that yard at the SUV, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Big sigh.
You had a clear view of that SUV as you looked out that storm door every time you went to the door, didn't you?
It was dark and snowing, but I could see a vehicle out there, yes.
As a matter of fact, you've indicated that it was a clear view. There was nothing obstructing your vision, correct?
No, there was nothing but the weather conditions.
And you indicated that, and by the way, the blizzard had basically just started. There was a dusting on the ground.
It was snowing. It was accumulating.
Right, but it was early in
Correct.
the storm.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Right. And when asked about whether or not you had a view, well, let me ask it a different way. In terms of your view of the SUV and the distance from the storm door to the SUV to that curb line, there was nothing obstructing your view. You had a clear view of that, a good view of the SUV, correct?
When I looked out the window, I could see the SUV in front of me, yes.
At no time during any of this interaction with the door, meaning going back and forth through the storm door, texting, looking outside, seeing the SUV in position 1, seeing the SUV in position 2, seeing the SUV in position 3, at no time did you hear any noise that was unusual, did you?
No, I didn't.
You didn't hear any screaming?
No.
You didn't hear any yelling?
No.
No loud voices?
No.
No foul language?
No.
You didn't hear a door slam?
No.
You didn't hear a verbal argument or a fight of any kind?
No.
You didn't hear a revving engine?
No.
You didn't hear the squealing of tires or the scraping of tires on the pavement?
No.
You didn't hear a collision take place?
No.
Or a crash?
No.
Or screams for help?
No.
Moaning, groaning, as if someone was in distress?
No.
As you looked at the SUV, the first time, you've already indicated that you had a clear view straight out the door, right? It's right in front of the front door as a crow flies, right? It's not at an angle.
Right there. Correct.
Okay. You also previously indicated that you saw tire tracks in the roadway.
Yes.
In that very, very light dusting of snow, the accumulation that you talked about, you saw tire tracks of some sort.
Yes.
So that's down on the ground, beyond the yard, somewhere in the roadway.
In the street, correct.
You had a good view of those tire tracks as well, correct?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, you were able to describe those as sort of almost a wave, I think you once said.
Yeah, across the street. I could see it because of the street light that was across the street.
Okay, and that presented at least enough illumination based on your view. You could see the tire tracks in the snow.
Yes, over to the left, yes.
And you've detailed not just the shape of those tire tracks as being sort of like a wave, but where those tire tracks were, correct?
No, look at this, yeah.
Where did you see them?
I believe over to the left, if I'm looking out straight. Oh, sorry. Straight.
So if you're looking outside at the SUV, I'm just going to turn my back to the jurors for a second for perspective. If you're looking outside the door, when you say straight out, the SUV is straight outside. When you say to the left, you mean to the left of the SUV on the ground. That's where you saw the tire tracks.
Yes.
Like somebody might parallel park or something.
Kind of a wave, yeah. I can't really explain what it was. I just saw it.
You weren't paying special attention. You weren't looking for tire tracks, were you?
No, when I glanced out, I saw it.
You weren't looking for anything in the roadway at that point. You just glanced out. It was something in your peripheral vision, and you made note of it.
Yes.
And the only thing between you and the SUV as you looked out was the lawn.
Correct.
There's no ditches or hills in that lawn. It's a flat lawn, correct?
I wasn't looking at the ground. I was just kind of looking like I am at you
That's
right
not my
now,
question.
straight.
You know that lawn. You've been in that house 100 times, 500 times. There's no ditches or berms or hills or mountains on that lawn. It's just a flat lawn, right?
I guess you could categorize it as flat, yeah.
Now she's getting hostile a little
Can we
bit.
take a look?
She's added that there was a street light that made it possible to see the tire tracks. I didn't hear that last time.
Yes.
I've heard that it was dark. If we need to approach.
Can you take a look at that
Sure.
photograph for a quick second and tell me if you recognize it?
I do, yes.
What do you recognize that as being?
34 Fairview.
He was hostile a long time ago.
That's the same photograph with just a little modification on it that you saw a few minutes ago.
Yes.
Your Honor, I would ask that that be marked as identification.
Okay.
Wish to publish?
Not for identification, no.
I'm happy to move it into evidence.
Your Honor, if I may, if it's marked for identification, I wouldn't object to showing it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That's a
Stipulation.
chalk at this point.
Okay.
May I publish?
Yes.
Thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
Not admitted.
Thank you.
There you go. Mr. Wall, can you make that? There you go. Thank you. What's depicted in that photograph?
34 Fairview.
Do you see the front door that you went in?
I do, yes.
Can you point it out for the jurors, please?
Sure. Right there.
Okay. The one with the brick steps leading up to it.
Yes.
Now, with this perspective, can you point out the side door?
Sure.
That looks like a screen door just to the right of the hedges.
Yes.
With that perspective, can you point out the garage door?
Or that one. Sorry.
That's just to the right of the window inside that recess of the home?
Yes.
Okay. And does that fairly and accurately depict the lawn as it was on January 28th, 29th, other than the fact that it's different weather?
Right.
The shape of the lawn?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. that down, Mr. Wolf.
It's a big black square in the middle of the picture.
So what was that marked as, Madam Court Reporter? Thank you.
Your Honor, I would ask to move that in evidence. If we need to take a minute on that, I'm happy to, but that is my request.
Is there an issue?
No, I won't object.
Okay.
Brandon thought that went over. It's not objecting.
46.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Might have been a wooden flag or something.
May I continue, Your Honor?
Yes.
The first time you looked out over that lawn to the SUV, you did not see John O'Keefe, did you?
No, I did not.
He was not outside that SUV?
No,
He was not standing or sitting?
not that I saw.
He certainly wasn't on the ground, was he?
Not that I saw.
The second time you looked out and saw the SUV, now the SUV is more toward the flagpole, correct?
Yes,
And you had a clear field of view between you standing at that door and the SUV. You've already described that view, correct?
I can see the SUV, correct.
Correct. And you could see everything in front of the SUV as well, couldn't you?
I just would go to the door and look at the SUV. I wasn't taking in all the surroundings of.
Right. But just like you weren't taking in the surroundings, specifically looking for tire tracks, when you saw the SUV standing or sitting right in front of you, you saw through your peripheral vision, you know, the tire track.
Yes, and that's lighted where around the SUV it was very dark.
I haven't asked you about lighting yet. We'll get to that.
I'm sorry.
Tire tracks, even though you weren't looking for tire tracks, right?
Yes, I did.
Something that stood out to you in your peripheral vision. Just looking out. There they are.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
That second time you looked directly at the SUV with no obstruction between you and the SUV, you did not see John O'Keefe standing outside the SUV?
No.
He wasn't sitting down?
No.
He wasn't lying down?
No.
You certainly did not see his body in the snow toward that flagpole?
No.
And you would have been looking directly toward that flagpole, correct? Directly.
I was looking at the vehicle.
Directly toward the flagpole, Ms. McCabe.
I was looking in the direction of the flagpole.
Right.
At the vehicle, yes.
Right. And you saw no body in the snow, did you?
I didn't look for a body in the snow.
I didn't ask you if you looked for one. You weren't looking for tire tracks either, were you? But you saw those.
I did see those, yes.
There's the
And
edge.
you did not see a body in the snow.
No, I did not.
John O'Keefe, 6'2", 216 pounds, brawny guy, big boy, right?
I don't think I'd refer to him as a big boy, but he was tall, yes.
All right. You certainly didn't see him prostrate in the snow the way you found him the next morning, correct? Later that morning.
I didn't see anything on the ground, no.
Correct. The third time you looked out toward that SUV, it's still in the direction of the flagpole, but a little further up, a little deeper to the right, correct?
Yes.
Again, looking directly in the direction, at least, of the flagpole and that area of the yard, you were looking beyond that to the SUV, correct?
Yes.
You did not see John O'Keefe standing outside the vehicle?
I did not, no.
He was not sitting outside the vehicle?
No.
And he certainly wasn't lying on the ground, was he?
I didn't see him.
And the last time you looked out, Miss McCabe, this is now 12:45 or so, the last time you looked out, the SUV was gone. Is that right?
Yes.
But you were still looking in that direction because that's the last place you saw the SUV. Is that right?
I looked out the window like this. I wasn't searching anywhere, but just glanced out the window, and I didn't see it.
I'm just asking you a direction. Not whether or not you were searching. I know you didn't see that search party. That's not my question. My question is, were you looking toward the area where you last saw the SUV around 12:45 a.m.?
Yes.
That would be directly across the lawn, directly past the flagpole, and directly into the street where you last saw the SUV, correct?
I glanced out, yes, correct.
And the same way you glanced out at the SUV, to use your words, glanced out and saw the tire tracks, right?
Correct, yes.
But you did not see John O'Keefe standing on the lawn.
No.
You did not see him sitting on the lawn.
No.
And you certainly did not see his body lying on the lawn, did you?
No. No, I did not.
Ultimately, you left the location that night, the gathering, at 34 Fairview. Is that right? You didn't spend the night there?
No, I went home.
About what time was it that you left the location?
Approximately, it was after 1:30. Approximately 1:30, 1:45.
So this is maybe an hour later, later than what we've just been discussing.
Yes.
Seeing the SUV. Who did you leave with?
I left with my husband, Matt, and Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson.
Who was driving?
Matt.
Sorry, my husband, Matt, was driving.
And where was Sarah Levinson and Julie Nagel sitting in that SUV?
They were in the back seat.
By the way, what kind of SUV were you in that night?
A Yukon.
I have one of those.
Four-door,
yeah,
extended
big,
seating?
Yes.
When the SUV pulled out of the driveway, it was in the driveway?
Yes.
When the SUV backed out of the driveway, doing a three-point turn, backed out of the driveway, did it go toward Chapman or did it go toward Cedar Crest?
It went towards Chapman.
So as you backed out of the driveway, you would have been heading toward the flagpole side of the property rather than back toward the driveway side of the property, correct?
Correct.
You would have driven directly adjacent to the area where John O'Keefe's body was later discovered at 6:04, 6:03 a.m., correct?
Yes, correct.
You were seated in the passenger seat of the vehicle, not the driver's seat.
Correct.
You were seated in the front of the vehicle, not the back seat.
Correct.
You would have been closest to the yard as y'all drove past, correct?
Correct.
That's a newer model Yukon. I'm assuming that the headlights automatically turn on at night?
They do.
Yes.
So the headlights were illuminated?
Yes.
That's default. You have to manually
your
turn it
husband,
off
Matt,
every time.
did he turn on the brights? Or did he leave the beams on low? Or do you know?
I don't know.
But certainly the area in front of that SUV, that Yukon, was well lit.
The lights were on, yes.
You did not see anything out of the ordinary as you drove right by that location, did you?
I was looking in the back seat when we were driving.
Did you see anything out of the ordinary on that lawn as you drove by in that SUV?
No, because I wasn't looking at the lawn.
You certainly did not see John O'Keefe dressed in dark clothing laying prostrate in the lawn.
No, I did not.
You said that you were turned around talking to the other young ladies in the SUV, Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson. Is that right?
Yes.
You indicated that you were engaged with them about a conversation having to do with bread and maybe peanut butter or something.
Yes.
All right, she has bread and
As
peanut
you
butter.
passed by that location adjacent to where John's body was later discovered, you didn't hear Julie Nagel say anything out of the ordinary about having seen something.
No.
You didn't hear Sarah Levinson say anything out of the ordinary about having seen something.
No.
And according to you, you were turned around, directly engaged with both these young ladies as you passed by that area where John's body was later discovered. Is that right?
When we pulled out, I turned around and I was talking to them about the bread and the peanut butter. I'm not sure exactly where we were driving, but it was when we pulled out, yes.
You certainly never heard anybody say anything like, what was that, or anything close to that.
No, I didn't.
I'd like to turn your attention to your arrival back at 34 Fairview just after 6 a.m. the next morning. You indicate that the visibility was relatively poor and that you could not see John O'Keefe on that lawn from your perspective, correct?
The visibility was extremely poor, and no, I could not see him.
You were in the front seat, passenger side?
Yes, I was.
It was Karen Reed who actually saw Mr. O'Keefe, jumped out of the car, and began attending to him immediately, correct?
Karen got out of the car and ran to John O'Keefe.
And you stayed by the car, and Miss Roberts ran over to assist Miss Reed in giving first aid to, at least initially, to Mr. O'Keefe. Is that right?
No, that is not. Carrie got out and walked over, and then I got out and walked over.
You indicated that well, let me ask a different question. Yesterday, you testified in pretty significant detail that when you got out of the car, you could not see anything even close to the flagpole, correct?
Visibility was very bad, yes.
Matter of fact, you used the word whiteout conditions. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
Whiteout conditions, you basically can't see your hand in front of your face.
I wouldn't say that extreme, but I used whiteout as there's just snow coming at you.
You were specifically asked by Mr. Brennan, how close did you have to get before you could actually see anything of note where Miss Reed had gone? Is that right?
Yes.
You testified yesterday that you could see just merely shadowy figures of Miss Reed and Carrie Roberts, and it wasn't until you got very close over to them that you could see John, in your words.
Correct.
As a matter of fact, you followed that up by saying that that was the first moment, once you got basically on top of them, that was the first moment that you realized that it was John, that there was a body on the ground, correct?
I said as I got close to them, I don't think on top of them.
Fair enough. It's my words, not yours. You did say, quote, very close to them, correct?
I'd have to see it, but...
Well, you just testified to it yesterday. If you remember saying, I'd get very close to them.
I know I said I had got very close to them or close to them, something like that,
Okay.
yes. Mm-hmm.
I don't have a transcript of yesterday's testimony, I'm sorry. Last year you testified to something very different than that, though, didn't you?
No.
Isn't it true that last year you testified that you got out on the passenger side of the vehicle, which is, we'll agree, the furthest side from the lawn, as Ms. Roberts was driving from Chapman toward Crestview, Cedar Crest, correct?
Yes.
You testified that you were on the passenger side, and as you got out of the vehicle, you noted that Karen Reed was already at John. Is that right?
As I got out and walked around the back of the vehicle, the shadowy figure of Karen had already gotten onto something.
You further testified that as you got out of the vehicle, you noted that she straddled John, lifted up his shirt, lifted up her shirt, and went to lay on him. And Miss Roberts went over and said started removing snow from her shirt and went to lay on him. And Miss Roberts went over and said started removing snow from John's face. Correct?
I have the page and line number.
Where are you,
Sure.
Mr. Jackson?
May 17, 2024, RT 114, lines 14 to bottom, onto 115, line 4. Is that how you testified last year?
I'm sorry, would you mind just repeating it?
Sure.
Thank you.
You testified in substance that you were on the passenger side of the vehicle, and as you got out, quote, as I got out, end quote, she, Miss Reed, was already at John. You indicated that you saw her straddle him, lift up his shirt, lift up her shirt, and lay on top of him while Miss Roberts went over and removed snow from his face. That's how you testified last year, correct?
Object.
I think she has to allow it.
Last year?
I'm not sure. I know.
Next question.
Would it refresh your recollection if you were to look at a copy of your testimony from last year?
I don't think looking at it would refresh my memory. I know I might have used different words, but the bottom line is I got out of the car, went behind the car, went over, and Karen had done that.
Ms. McCabe, I'm asking, do you think it would refresh your, if you don't have a good recollection of how you testified last year on your own, sitting on that witness stand, I'm asking, do you think it would refresh your recollection to see your transcript from last year?
I don't need to see my transcript. I know what I know, and I know what I remember. So
That's not my question. I'm not asking what you remember now. I'm asking how you testified a year ago now.
whether I said it was as we're fighting over silly words, whether I said as I got out of the car, we were there.
Words matter. They matter a lot.
Okay, so remember, Mr. Jackson, no comments. Ms. McCabe, how you answer his question.
Okay.
Do you remember exactly how it is that you testified last year?
I do not know.
May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
Words matter. This is Mr. Jackson trying to get a claw in, and Jen is fighting it. She's fighting on every front, not sure where he's going to attack. Unfortunately, she picked a battle that I don't think she can win, saying, don't show me anything because it won't help my memory because I remember perfectly now. That's not going to fly. The point is, she was under oath last time, and she was under oath this time. Mr. Jackson's going to point out any discrepancies. They might not be substantial, but he's doing this to get under her skin more than actually prove a difference in the story.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. McCabe, does that refresh your recollection as to how you testified in substance last year?
I see what it says I said, but it's a little bit different than what you stated.
Okay, then let's walk through that. Did you indicate last year that as you got out of the vehicle, that's when you could see what Miss Reed was doing with John O'Keefe, down to the detail of pulling her shirt up and pulling his shirt up to try to go skin to skin?
I object.
Why don't I see it side by? Why don't you bring it with you, Mr. Jackson, please?
Okay, I think if Mr. Brennan is objecting, it's on a technicality, and it can be corrected with the direction, with the wording or the way that Mr. Jackson asked this question. I think it would be wrong for the judge to rule here that he can't go into a prior inconsistent statement with the witness and rule that he just has to move on and not touch this, because there are differences, and there are substantial differences. He's probably arguing with the judge right now saying, Your Honor, this witness has told us under oath that she did not see John until they were right next to it, like at his feet. Like she was right there, and then she saw the shape of a body in the snow. We've got that testimony yesterday. But last trial, she says as she got out of the car, she saw Karen straddling John, lifting up his shirt, her shirt, trying to warm him up, laying on him, Carrie starting to brush snow off his face as she's walking over there. That's a big difference.
All right, now you can go ahead.
Thank you. Ms. McCabe, is it true that you had the following colloquy last year on this subject? Answer, I was on the passenger side, so as I got out, she was already at John. Question, so she gets out and essentially makes a beeline over to where John was. Answer, correct. Question, and you're getting out of the passenger side, and by the time you come around the car, she's already there. Answer, yes. Question, and when she gets over there, what, if anything, could you see at that point? Answer, she straddles John and lifts up his shirt, and then she lifted up her shirt and went to lay on him, and Miss Roberts went over and she was removing the snow from his face. Is that how you testified last year?
Yes, that's how I answered the questions.
Okay. Clearly, you didn't indicate last year that it was whiteout conditions, you could see nothing of the kind, and you had to get, quote unquote, very close to him before you could see anything, correct?
Objection.
Sustained. It's the first word that's problematic.
Clearly.
Yesterday, you testified that it was whiteout conditions. You had to leave the car, walk all the way over and get, quote unquote, very close to John before you recognized that it was even a body. Is that right?
Yes.
But last year, you testified that you were still at the car when you noted the detail of Karen basically giving life-saving aid to John. You can see that clearly, all the way from the car, correct?
Objection.
Is that what you said, Ms. McCabe?
No.
That was about 700 blinks, which he said no.
Is there a reason, Ms. McCabe, that you might wish to improve your testimony this year than last year, over last year, with regard to the distance that you could see Ms. Reed engaged with Mr. O'Keefe?
No.
Are you trying to suggest or improve your testimony to suggest that you had no idea that there was a body there and nobody reasonably could have even seen the body there as you drove up?
Objection.
Is that what you're trying to say, Ms. Reed?
Ms. McCabe.
McCabe.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Not sure. I'll give it a shot.
I'm sorry.
Are you trying to improve your testimony this year over last year to suggest that reasonably nobody could have seen where John was from the car?
I'm not trying to improve my testimony, no.
You claimed on direct examination today, as a matter of fact, that Ms. Reed looked at you at the scene and said the phrase, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him." She said it 3 times, very distinctly, according to your testimony, correct?
She did, yes.
That was so impactful that it had the effect of putting you in some sort of shock and horror. Is that right?
I was in shock the whole morning, but that statement definitely was a lot.
And that's an incredibly memorable statement for you to have heard and now recount to us in this trial, correct?
Correct.
Something that you wouldn't easily forget or overlook. Is that right?
Something I wouldn't.
Something you would not easily
Correct.
forget or overlook. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
As a matter of fact, some might say it's the centerpiece of your testimony.
Objection.
Sustained.
Ms. McCabe, you testified at a grand jury in April of 2022, did you not?
I did, yes.
Before you testified, you took an oath, very much like the oath that you took before you testified in this case, correct?
Correct.
You swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, correct?
Correct.
And that included the whole truth at the state grand jury, correct?
Correct.
That was only weeks, several weeks, but weeks after this incident, right? April 26th versus January 29th, 2022. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
Things were much fresher in your mind then than they are now.
I wouldn't necessarily say that.
Especially something as momentous as an admission from my client that she hit him. Would you agree?
Would I agree that she said that?
Would you agree that that would be fresh in your mind? Something as momentous as that. You wouldn't forget that.
I will never forget it.
You wouldn't overlook that.
I will never forget it.
You would not overlook that either, would you, Ms. McCabe?
I answer the questions I'm asked.
Can you answer the question that I just asked? You're not answering my question. Would you overlook that?
No.
And the reason you wouldn't overlook it is because it was so impactful on you, having heard that. Not once, not twice, 3 times. I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Is that right?
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
Can you point to the line in this transcript where you told the grand jury that she said, I hit him, I hit him,
Thank
I
you.
hit
Take a
him?
look at that document and tell me if you recognize it.
AJ shifted gears here.
Yes, I see it.
It's a grand jury transcript, I think.
Is that a transcript of your entire testimony at the grand jury in April of 2022?
I believe so, yes.
You've reviewed it in the past?
I have read it about a year ago, yes.
You read it in anticipation of your testimony a year ago, correct?
Yes, I reviewed it.
Have you reviewed it in preparation for your testimony today?
No, I haven't.
Yesterday.
It's
Ms.
okay.
McCabe, turn to the page or pages in that transcript where you recount to the grand jurors that my client said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
This is over 227 pages.
Take your time.
Take your time.
How long did you say it was, Ms. McCabe?
227?
I'm not going to let her read 227 pages.
You reviewed it before, haven't you?
I reviewed it a year ago, yes.
You read the whole thing cover to cover, didn't you?
I skimmed through it.
One of the most important points in your testimony yesterday and today is recounting these jurors the phrase, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Is that right?
Objection.
To the form of that, I'm sustaining it.
Was it important to you to tell these jurors that you heard my client say, I hit him 3 times?
I answered the questions, and I'm telling the jurors what I know.
Was it important to you, before testifying today, that you recount to these jurors the phrase, I hit him, coming out of my client's mouth?
Your client said she hit him, yes.
That's not my question. Listen to my question, Ms. McCabe.
I'm sorry.
Was it important to you, before you testified, to tell these jurors, under oath, that my client said, I hit him 3 times?
As a witness, it's important to tell the truth and to answer the question you were asked.
And in point of fact, in your entire grand jury testimony, you never said, my client said the words, I hit him, did you?
Again, it's 227 pages.
Ms. McCabe, you were there. They're your words. I'm not asking you to rehearse something. You were there. Did you tell the grand jurors that my client said I hit him?
I have testified a number of times, but I was there the morning of January 29th when your client said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Did you tell that to the grand jurors?
I'm not sure.
It's because you didn't, did you?
Again, I'm not sure.
Ms. McCabe, you were asked in your grand jury testimony no fewer than a dozen times, 12 times, 12 separate times, you were asked to repeat words that my client said both before, going to, and at the scene at 34th Fairview that morning. Correct?
Objection.
Do you know the answer to that?
No.
You were asked multiple times what my client's words were that you heard her say going to and at the scene. Correct?
I was correct.
And you recounted those words truthfully and honestly at that time. Correct?
Correct.
Because you were under the same oath that you're under today.
Correct.
And things were much fresher in your mind then than they are now 3.5 years later. Would you agree with that?
I hit him, I hit him, I hit him is just as fresh today as it was 3 years ago.
Turn to page 190, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
For Court and Counsel lines 10 and 11.
This is a problem that happens when witnesses share observations.
Which lines? I'm sorry.
10 and 11.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
You recounted what Ms. Reed said to you over the phone to the grand jurors, correct?
Correct.
And what she said at 4:53 a.m. was, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? She didn't say it. She asked it, correct?
She didn't say that at 4:53.
Did you testify that what Miss Reed said to you that morning over the phone was, could I have hit him? Did I hit him?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
May I? Oh, sure. Just wanted to verify a page number, Your Honor. May I approach?
Yes. Why don't you tell Mr. Brennan the page number?
I will, with each one.
With each one, meaning there are multiples.
If you turn to page 192. Line 4. What did you tell the grand jurors my client said in that answer?
Objection.
What are we talking about?
I'll ask it a different way. Did you answer a question on page 192, line 4, concerning my client's statement?
Did I answer a question?
You were answering a question, correct?
Oh, yes, yes.
All right.
I'm sorry.
And the answer that you gave to the grand jurors was, she said, could I have hit him? Correct?
Yes, that's part of the answer I gave.
Turn to page 193.
I'd object.
So I don't want to have to see it sidebar. We need context in order for this to be admissible, Mr. Jackson. I have no idea what that said.
Your Honor, everyone, I can make an offer of proof at sidebar if you wish.
Okay, why don't you come to sidebar?
Sure.
And bring them.
Bring the copies. Okay, Mr. Jackson has said 12 times. 12 times you were asked in the grand jury to recount word for word what Karen Reed said on the phone, in the car, at the scene. And never once did you say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. And she says, I don't recall. I don't know. I don't. It was a long time ago. I don't remember. But I remember better now than ever before. Oh, thank you. York peppermint patties for me? Thank you. Yum. Like years worth of candy right here. This is what we saw in trial number 1 as well. She is trying to battle with AJ at his level. She's doing pretty good, but he is very experienced and understands the law and how to get her to have to answer. She tried to say that looking at things would not refresh her recollection. That does not work. AJ found a way around that. They're looking at these transcripts. They're looking at it, and now he's going to read all 12 times, if the judge will let him. That's a big if, to say, this is how many times you were asked these questions. Okay, that's enough. Thank you.
May I please witness?
Yes. Do you have an extra copy for yourself, Mr.
I have notes.
Jackson?
I have
Okay.
notes.
Thank you.
I think my notes is fine. On page 192, line 4, for context, were you talking about a statement that was made in Karen's car on that morning before you got to the scene?
192.
192, line 4.
Yes, that was a comment you made in the car.
And she said the phrase, you recounted that she said the phrase, could I have hit him? Correct?
Yes, that was part of my answer.
Take a look at page 193, line 1 through 2. This was also in the context of a conversation that was in Karen's car, correct?
Yes.
And the phrase that you attributed to my client was, could I have hit him? The question, correct?
Yes.
Page 193, line 23. In the context of being in John's driveway at One Meadows,
Yes.
and you attributed the statement, and she's asking if she could have hit him, correct?
Yes, when she showed me her taillight.
Page 201, lines 23 and 24. This is driving to Fairview. She asked, what if I hit him? Could I have hit him? Correct?
Can you tell me the lines?
I'm sorry, lines 23 and 24. Page 201.
Okay, sorry.
Jen may be intentionally slowing this down to break up AJ's flow.
Okay, I've read it.
She stated, according to you, what if I hit him? Could I have hit him? Correct?
Yes, she did.
Page 202, top of the page, line 1 and 2. Again, in context, this is driving to Fairview, before you arrived at Fairview. And she again asked, quote, according to you and your testimony in front of the grand jury, could I have hit him? Correct?
Yes, I see that here as part of my answer.
Then turn to page 208, lines 24 and 25.
I'm sorry, what? Lines 24 and 25?
Lines 24 and 25. Let me know when you've
I've read them, thank you.
those. For context, this is at the scene, outside Fairview.
Yes.
And you told those grand jurors under oath, she asked, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Correct?
Yes.
On page 208, lines 24 and 208 and 209, going on to page 209, lines 1 through 3. You actually recounted to the grand jurors a conversation that you said my client had with a female EMT standing right there, exactly as you testified to today. Female EMT. You see that?
I do, yes.
And what did you say my client's statements were in front of that female EMT?
In this, I say that she said, could I have hit him? Is he dead?
It's actually, did I hit him?
Oh, sorry, I missed that part. I apologize. Did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead?
And that was at the scene in front of the female EMT, exactly the scene that you're describing. You attributed the 3 statements to my client to today, correct?
There was many different times when we were talking to different EMTs, the female EMT, the men, the police officers.
May I approach?
Yes.
Yeah, just a moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
That response is not a good one from Jen because that video has been picked apart so many times and so many people have said what was happening at every different point that saying, oh, it just happened at a different time can probably be disproved. I will give her her composure has
McCabe,
been
your
much
full
better this
statement
round.
at page 208, starting at lines 22 through 25, going on to page 209, down to line 4, was, quote, so there are different, police officers getting statements from us. And at one point, I'm standing with Miss Reed, and she's saying, "Did I hit him? Could I have hit him?" And there was, I believe, an EMT, a female, standing right next to me, listening to her yelling, "Did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead?" It was pretty nonstop, pretty much nonstop. That was your testimony in front of the grand jurors, correct?
Yes, it was.
And that was April 26th, 2022, correct?
Correct.
Not one time. Not one time, Miss McCabe, did you utter the phrase, "I hit him," as it relates to my client in front of that grand jury on April 26th, 2022, did you? Not once.
I'd have to read through the 227 pages to see.
As you sit here today, do you remember ever saying to those grand jurors, she said, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him," in front of a female EMT?
I've spoken to in a few grand juries. What I said specifically at different ones, I don't recall at this moment, but I do know that morning your client said, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him," 3 times, and there was a female EMT there.
A few grand juries? Is that what I heard? She's testified in a few
Spoke
grand
with
juries?
Trooper Proctor just the same day, right? January 29th.
Yes.
Trooper Proctor was taking notes
Yes.
about your conversation?
Yes, he was.
You reviewed those notes, as a matter of fact, at some point.
I didn't review his notes. I think I've seen a report at one point or another.
On that very day, January 29th, 2022, when you were asked to recount what happened at the scene, who was doing what and who said what, you never told Trooper Proctor that my client said, "I hit him," either, did you?
Oh, I told him. Yes, I did.
He just leave that out of his report?
I'm not responsible for his report.
No, you're not. But you have read his report.
So again, no comments, Mr. Jackson.
You have read his report, right?
I have seen it before, yes.
May I approach her?
Yes.
Thank you.
You looked at that report for another particular this morning. Do you still recognize it?
Yes, I do.
Can you review that report, scan it, and let me know when you're done?
Okay, is there something specific I should be looking for?
I don't think you're going to find it, Ms. McCabe. It's for,
All
I hit
right,
him.
so again, jurors disregard the comments. So it's question, answer format only.
My question is, do you see the phrase, "I hit him," as it's attributable to my client in that report?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you recall telling Trooper Proctor that my client said, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him"?
Objection.
Do you recall that?
Yes, I told him.
He was taking notes at the time.
He was taking notes, correct?
Those notes ended up being memorialized in a formal report.
I'm assuming he...
The report that you're holding.
I object.
Sustained.
Does that appear to be a report of the January 29th, 11:35 or so a.m. interview that you did with Trooper Proctor?
Yes, it does.
You said you reviewed that report in the past?
Yes, in the past.
And you're aware in no place in that report does the phrase "I hit him" show up anywhere, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Can I approach?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to approach the witness. Sorry, Mr. Brennan. I'm sorry.
Mr. Brennan gets up there. He's like, I want to talk to the judge about this.
Sorry.
Like, no, I'm approaching the witness. That was funny. The defense strategy to focus on the collusion or the combining of stories and timelines.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Perceptions is coming together during this questioning, where her testimony today is different than the grand jury testimony.
I want to draw your attention to the very early morning hours of January 29th, around 4:53 a.m. when you indicated you received that phone call from Kaylee's phone. Do you have that time and date in mind?
Yes, I do.
My client told you that John had not come home, correct?
Yes.
And you knew that Miss Reed at that point was awake and looking for John?
I didn't know I just knew that she was awake and screaming.
Right, because she was worried about where John was.
Objection. Sustained.
You've been asked who you communicated with first thing that morning after you received that first call from Miss Reed, is that right?
Yes.
You were asked by Trooper Prince in her formal interview. Trooper Prince interviewed you on February 1st, about 3 days after the incident, correct?
I've met with a lot. I don't really remember specific days.
Do you remember a female trooper?
Yes, I do, actually.
Okay. In your house?
Yes.
Or I should say at your house?
Yes.
That was around 3 days after the incident?
Was it Tuesday, maybe? Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
I think so, yes,
Okay.
if it's the one I'm thinking.
You were also asked at the same grand jury who you communicated with on the morning of January 29th.
Okay.
Remember that?
Not specifically.
Would it refresh your recollection if we were to take a look at a specific page of that grand jury transcript?
Sure.
So far, in the cross-examination, she has not been able to bring up the harassment that she and other family members or friends.
Do you need a couple of minutes, Mr. Jackson?
I do, Your Honor.
So, jurors, why don't you stand up and stretch, okay?
Oh, we have to look up because the jurors are going to block everything.
You can too, Ms. McCabe, if you want to.
Thanks.
Let's look at the fan a little bit. The problem is the camera is located right behind the jurors. When the jurors stand up, they block the camera. That's why we're looking up, even though the camera's allowed to be on right now.
Mr. Jackson, do you want a 5-minute recess?
Sure.
We're still going to stop at 4, so really 5 minutes, folks. We'll have you go back and come back.
So really just 5 minutes. That's it. Start your watch. Set a timer for 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Counting down.
Thank you. I don't know exactly what he's looking for here. It's obviously transcript stuff in the report. It's recounting previous stories to challenge the testimony of the witness now compared to what she said then, or what, in this case, with Trooper Proctor, what was reported that she said then. But it's time for court yoga, huh? Let's see. Let me see if I can get court yoga ready. I don't think I can. Yeah, too many keyboards. All right, a couple questions. Let's answer those. The proper way to eat York peppermint patties to put on a winter coat first, if the old advertisements are true. My kids brought me a single serving of York peppermint patties, minus the, I think the 5 I've already had. There goes my diet. These are so good. They're so delicious. And every time this trial gets spicy, I eat more. Mackenzie Jabali. Woohoo, I have a new courthouse. Thanks for all you do. All right. Mackenzie, congratulations on 6 months. That is wonderful. Looks great on you. Thank you for your support. And not just support. Mackenzie is at the attorney level, which means she has a reserved, padded, leather seat in the courtroom with a great view. Mackenzie, thank you for your support of the channel. That is wonderful. Let's see. Go back to the last objection and watch AJ reaction on the instant picture. I don't have reactions on replay. I've only got a main camera on replay. Do we know for a fact that Karen was saying, did I hit him, did I hit him, did I hit him, or is it part of the house guests info? We have a lot of different people. If you remember from the first trial, a lot of different people have a lot of different versions of that regarding Karen asking or saying, did I or I hit? There are many different versions from many different people. What Mr. Jackson's pointing out here is that Jen McCabe never in the grand jury testimony, where she was asked 12 times about this, and never in the report that Mr. Proctor, Trooper Proctor, authored about her interview, did she say, at least recorded, that she said Karen said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Jackson was laughing at the last objection. Donald, the reason why he was laughing was because he said, Your Honor, may I approach? And he had just been, there was just an objection that had been sustained by the judge. And so Mr. Brennan is still basically standing from his objection, saying, I object. And the judge saying, sustained. And he says, may I approach? And Brennan's like, yes. And he wants to walk up there, and he's laughing. He says, no. I meant approach the witness. I'm not done. I don't want to talk to the judge. That was like a little lawyer joke right there. It was sort of funny. That Brennan is outraged, right? He wants to put a stop to this. And he's like, no. No, it's still game on here. We're not done. Tabitha, so far, I would say overcharged for sure. I would say overcharged, but we haven't got to any of the testimony of the actual impact, and that collision has to be testified to. We've got a lot of circumstantial evidence, which could support that belief, but we need the evidence that shows there's a collision for there to be anything. We haven't got there yet. All right, Paralegal Liz, you are caught up. It's wonderful. Welcome. Let's see. Taillight broke when she backed out of the garage and hit someone else's car. I thought there was a video of the impact. There is video. We will see that, Mama of 3. We went back on the replay machine and in trial number 1 and slowed that down and even put markers and pixels, and you can see the tires move. You can see the impact was enough to move the other car, even though it was in park position. It rolled forward and then rolled back. That occurred. Whether or not it broke the taillight, whether or not the taillight impacted anything, there may be more coming out this time around about that. So we'll see. But the defense story is that's why the taillight was broken. But time's up. You hear the quacking? That's the end of the timer. Hope I just repeated it. There we go. Alley Cat's like, hey, where's the duck? Where's the duck? All the witnesses influenced each other. Natty, I think the defense has done a very good job this time around of showing the importance of showing the potential for why that's important. And we actually, if you remember back from Carrie's testimony previously, she actually agreed that talking to each other would influence her testimony. Jen has not gotten that far to do so. She would say rather that it didn't. But Carrie said, yes, my testimony would be influenced by what I heard. And so you with that understanding, if you accept that as true, Then you look at this testimony from Jen McCabe now about I hit him, and realize that she's talked to pretty much everybody or heard pretty much everything that's gone in this trial. And her recollection now could be filling in a detail or changing a detail to match what someone else remembers. And that could account for why it wasn't said in the first time around and why it was said now. Hit and Rum says, I have a confession. I love Angela's voice. It reminds me of Eva Gabor from Green Acres. No kidding. Have we used the pickle yet? Which one? I'm not sure which one yodels and which one screams. I think this is the yodeling pickle and this is the screaming pickle. We'll use the scream. Ready? Yeah, we'll use that one. It's so loud. A pickle is so loud. Compare that to a goat. Goat 1. Goat 2. Oops. And then the pickle. It's clearly the same sound from the pickle and the goat. That was a unison, so it's the same recording. But the pickle's the loudest. Goat 2 is louder. I think the battery is just newer. I'll have to get a new battery for the old goat. My goats have never been that loud. You never hold them up to a microphone either. So, totally agree. Things have changed because everybody's had 3 years to talk about it. It's expected to. I mean, to some degree, if I'm a jury member listening to this, I would not. Why are you looking at my computer screen? I don't know why. Oh, we're coming back anyway. You didn't miss anything. I'm not sure why I was showing you my desktop, which is clean, by the way. Ding, 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 ding. That's what the fox says.
Thank you.
You want to hear the dead battery? Sounds like a zombie, probably.
The court is in session. Please be seated.
We are back from break. AJ's had enough time to find what he's looking for.
All right, whenever you're ready, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. McCabe, I want to draw your attention back to the morning, later in the morning, after you're back at 34 Fairview, after the police have already cleared the scene, and you're back with your friends and family inside the home at 34 Fairview. We've already talked about the fact that the witnesses were not sequestered in any way, they were not separated in any way by the police. Is that right?
We were just sitting together with friends and family, so yeah, no.
Everybody was free, all the friends and family that were in there were free to talk amongst themselves, which you did do, correct?
Yes.
All right. Everybody had the opportunity to say their piece and to listen to others say their piece as well.
We had conversations. It wasn't really nothing more than that.
At some point, you did, I think you mentioned this on direct examination, you did reach out to Mike Lank. Is that right?
Yes.
Remind us who Mike Lank is in your world, in addition to being a Canton police officer, police sergeant, I think he was at the time. Who is he in your world?
He was just a local guy that I, knew, was friendly with.
And had gone to high school with?
No.
Was he ahead of you in high school?
We weren't in high school at the same time.
Got it. He was about 5 years ahead of you, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. But you had known him, or known of him, from basically childhood or young adulthood.
Yeah, just knew him from around town.
At some point, you decided that you were going to call Sergeant Lank back to the scene because there was a piece of information that you wanted to provide him again. Provide him so he needed to come back again.
Yes.
Ultimately, you called him on his cell phone, right?
I did, yes.
So you were close enough that you had his cell phone number, he had your cell phone number?
No, I didn't have his cell phone number.
Where did you get that number?
I asked Julie Albert for that number.
So Julie had his cell phone number?
Yes, she did.
And Julie is Chris's wife?
Yes.
She was at the location?
Yes.
When I say the location, 34 Fairview that morning?
Yes.
As was Chris?
He came at some point. I don't know if he was there when I called Officer Lank or not.
As was Brian Higgins, correct?
Yes, he was.
He came back over to the location as well?
Yes, he did.
As a matter of fact, it was Brian Higgins who suggested that you reach out to Officer Lank.
I'm not sure if it was him who suggested it.
Someone suggested to you that you reach out to Officer Lank, is that right?
As I was sitting there remembering things, I believe, I can't say who did or didn't.
So as you were sitting there remembering things, you weren't just remembering things, you were remembering things and then telling others things that you remembered.
Oh, absolutely.
So
yes.
Others were absorbing whatever information you were providing to them and vice versa.
No one was really providing me any information because they didn't know what happened.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just sitting there trying to recount what had transpired since I got that 4:53 phone call.
And one of the things that you decided you wanted to tell Sergeant Lank was a statement by my client.
Yes.
So you call Sergeant Lank on his cell phone, and you're able to get a hold of him, correct?
Yes.
Whatever he's doing, I'm guessing he was busy at the time.
I don't know what he was doing.
He was the first responder on a death of a police officer case that was just hours old. So he had to have been busy.
I would assume. I, again, don't know what he was doing.
But in fact, after you got your phone call, you dropped everything and headed back to 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes.
Assisting.
Did he come back to 34 Fairview quickly?
He was there fairly quickly, yes, I would say.
And that was at your request?
Yes, I called him and asked him to come back.
Because you told him that you had information that was important enough that he needed to get over there so you could tell him in person what this new information was.
I called him and told him that I was remembering things and asked if he could come back.
And he didn't just say, yeah, just tell me what it is over the phone. He literally said, okay, I'm going to get in my car, drive in a blizzard. It was still a blizzard, right?
Yes, it was.
I'm going to get all my gear on, drive in a blizzard back over to 34 Fairview, get out of my cruiser, come into the house, and get ready for this new information that you're going to give me. Correct?
He did not say all that, no.
No, that's what he did.
I have no idea what he did. I called him and then he came.
Well, he didn't walk over. I mean, he came over in his car, right?
I would assume so, yes.
Right. So he had to get in his car, drive over in a blizzard, get out of the car, walk through the blizzard, go in the front door, and get ready for this new meeting that he's going to have with you, correct?
Yes, that seems like steps one would take.
And whatever it was that you wanted to tell him, you let him know it was important enough to have a special additional meeting. It wasn't something that you were just going to sit on. You wanted to give him this information immediately without hesitation, correct?
He said if I remembered anything to give him a call, so I did.
So when he came back over, he obviously had a notepad and a pen in his hand, correct?
I believe he was taking notes.
And you told him, you testified this morning that what you told him was Karen Reed said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, right?
Correct.
But when he wrote this report, you said, she said, I hope I didn't hit him. Correct?
I don't have his report in front of me.
Yeah, just wondering.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You could turn to the orange tab. Do you see that?
I do, yes.
Okay, and you've had a chance to read it?
Just the highlighted
Okay.
part.
May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. In fact, what you told Officer Lank was something to the effect of, I hope I didn't hit him. Correct?
Incorrect. I told him that she said I hit him.
He wrote in his report, she just read, something to the effect of,
Sustained.
I hope I didn't hit him.
Sustained.
Is this another example of an officer getting a report wrong?
Objection.
Objection.
Is that report right?
Your Honor. Objection.
Sustained. Move on, Mr. Jackson.
The more people she talks to, she says,
I hope
said,
I didn't hit him.
I hit him, I hit him,
Or
hit him.
something to the effect of, I hope I didn't hit him.
And they record it differently.
A lot like, could I hit him? Did I hit him? Do you agree with that?
It does sound similar, yeah.
You testified yesterday that during that first phone call, that first phone conversation with Ms. Reed at 4:53 a.m., she told you, according to your testimony, that in that phone call, in that very first phone call, Ms. Reed said she had gotten into a fight, her taillight was cracked, and she asked, could I have hit him or did I hit him? Correct?
Incorrect.
Tell me where I'm wrong.
In the first phone call, she had said we got into a fight and he didn't come home and I left him at the waterfall. In the second phone call, once I told her that I saw her outside of my sister's house on Fairview, that is when she said, could she have hit him, and talked about her taillight.
So, 2 hours after Ms. Reed found John O'Keefe and began giving him CPR, you were interviewed by Sergeant Sean Good, correct?
Objection.
Ask the question differently, Mr. Jackson.
2 hours after Ms. Reed found Mr. O'Keefe, about 2 hours later, say 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning, after the scene was cleared, you were interviewed by Sean Good, were you not?
Objection.
Sustained.
May we approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Why is he not allowed to go into the... What's the objection here? Is it because he's testifying? He's allowed to lead. I'm not sure what the objection is here. I could go back and listen to it if it takes just a second. Let's see.
To the effect of,
Sustained.
I hope I didn't.
Sustained.
Hang on a second.
Correct? That in that phone call, in that very first phone call, Ms. Reed
It's going too far back.
said,
This is how I listen to trial, by the way.
Phone call, once I told her that I saw her outside my sister's house, she said she had my
2 hours after
This is what just happened.
Ms. Reed found John O'Keefe and began giving him CPR, you were interviewed by Sergeant Sean Good, correct? May I?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't know what the objection was.
While you were at the scene, after Ms. Reed had been giving CPR, Sean Good interviewed you, correct?
I don't remember a formal interview with Sean Good.
Do you remember talking to him?
When he arrived at the scene, I do remember briefly talking to him after all three of us gave John CPR.
And he asked you certain questions about what you'd seen, what you'd heard, what had happened, correct?
I have to tell you that I remember seeing him there and I remember talking to him, but I do not remember specifics of any conversation or any questions that he asked me.
Do you remember him do you remember him asking you about any initial calls you had and you telling him about that 4:53 call and the early morning calls thereafter? The initial calls before you met up with Miss Reed?
I don't recall.
Did you tell Sergeant Good, by the way, he was a sergeant at the time. Sean Good was a sergeant, not an officer?
I'm not sure.
Okay. By the way, you knew Sergeant Good, did you not?
I didn't know him. I knew of him, like I knew his name, but that was it.
How'd you know of him before that day?
Because his sister is a year or two younger than me, and I knew she had a brother that was younger, that was a Canton cop, just through the town, but I didn't know him.
Okay, friendly but not friends?
I wouldn't even say I was friendly with him.
Okay. You actually told Sergeant Good at the time when he asked about those first phone calls that when Miss Reed called you, she was inquiring about John's whereabouts, correct?
Again, I don't recall my conversations with Sean Good.
You certainly never mentioned to Sergeant Good the incessant screaming and hysteria that you've described here in court.
Objection.
Did you ever mention anything about an argument or a fight to Sean Good?
Objection.
Sustained, Mr. Jackson. She said she didn't remember. Next question.
I have to go through the series of machinations. I don't know what she remembers and doesn't remember.
She says she doesn't remember anything.
Next question, Mr. Jackson.
Did you mention anything about a cracked taillight to Sergeant Good?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you have no memory at all about what you talked to Sergeant Good about?
There were many officers there,
Right.
and like I said, I know I talked to Sergeant Good, but I do not remember the specifics of my conversation during that chaotic scene.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Let me ask a different question. There were many officers there, and many officers were asking you questions, correct?
Correct.
Did you did you tell any officer while at the scene that during those first few phone calls, first couple of phone calls with Miss Reed, that there was incessant screaming and hysteria?
Again, there were many officers asking me questions. Most of them were regarding who John was, if he had medical issues or concerns, things like that.
Right.
It was a chaotic scene. I don't remember any specific questions about phone calls. I apologize.
But you did tell at least one officer about the initial phone call that you received indicating that John may be missing, correct?
I possibly said I got a phone call and that's why I'm here. We all came out to look for him. I apologize for not remembering specifics.
Did you tell any officer at the scene anything about an argument or fighting that Miss Reed said occurred on that first couple of phone calls?
Again, the conversations were very brief and they were with a lot of different officers. There wasn't
yes or no?
in-depth conversations.
It's yes or no,
Let her answer the question.
Do you recall, that is a yes or no question, do you recall telling any officer about a conversation in the initial couple of phone calls that you had with Miss Reed about fighting or being in an argument? Do you recall that?
I cannot answer yes or no.
Well, you either do or you don't. If you don't,
I said
just say
there
you
was
don't.
many different conversations. I am not sure.
So you don't recall?
I'm not sure on specific conversations about that. I apologize.
Is there a reason why you're not telling us that you simply don't recall making that statement?
Sustained.
Do you recall telling any officer about a cracked taillight that came up in one of those first two phone calls?
At the scene?
At the scene.
Again, I think all the conversations were about what was happening in the present time.
And literally, this was a couple of hours after this incident, correct? When everything was freshest in your mind.
These conversations were at the scene when Miss Reed was running around screaming.
Were you also interviewed by Officer Mullaney?
Again, there were many officers there that I spoke to.
Ms. McCabe, do you understand my question? Did you understand the last question I asked you?
If I spoke to an officer, Mullaney?
Correct.
Again, I could have. I am not sure. I don't remember every officer. It was a chaotic scene. I had just found my friend on the ground.
So the answer is, I don't remember. Correct?
I don't remember speaking to him. No, sorry.
later that morning, you did have a conversation with Officer Lank that you actually do remember, correct?
Yes, correct.
What you told Officer Lank, or Sergeant Lank, was that you received a phone call from Kaylee's phone and that Karen Reed was distraught because John never came home, correct?
I told him she was, I don't remember the exact words, but I told him something like she was hysterical and screaming and said John never came home.
You never mentioned that she said anything about a fight during that initial phone call, correct?
Again, I'm not sure what exactly was said during that initial phone call.
You never mentioned that she said something about a cracked taillight in that initial phone call or those two phone calls, correct?
Are these phone calls with who? Who are these phone calls? Who am I speaking to at this point?
The initial phone calls that you had with Miss Reed.
Yes.
You never mentioned to Officer Lank, or Sergeant Lank, that Miss Reed mentioned anything about a fight or an argument, correct?
I don't remember.
You never mentioned anything about Miss Reed saying anything about a cracked taillight in one of those two initial phone calls, correct?
Again, I don't remember all the things that I told Officer Lank.
And you certainly never mentioned that Miss Reed said anything about could I have hit him during either of those initial phone calls, correct?
Again, I don't remember my specific conversation with Officer Lank.
So you don't remember the conversation that you had with Officer Lank when it was the clear light of day. You had a chance to take a beat and a breath, catch your breath, because it's now 11:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. You don't remember anything about that conversation. But according to your testimony, you remember in detail what my client said, waking you out of a dead sleep. Correct?
So I didn't speak to him at 11:30. It was earlier in the morning when he came back to Fairview.
Let's call it 9 o'clock. Whatever.
Okay.
Right? Whatever. It wasn't the same chaos as my client screaming into the phone that John never came home, waking you out of a dead sleep, correct?
Correct.
But when you recounted that conversation or those conversations to Sergeant Lank, you didn't say a thing about Miss Reed saying that there had been an argument, did you?
I'm saying I don't remember the specifics of my conversation with Officer Lank. I'm also saying that I was woken up out of a dead sleep. Karen showed up at my house screaming. I went out to help her look for John. And then we found one of my closest friends on the front lawn. And she was saying crazy things and acting crazy and
Ms.
acting
McCabe, that's not my
erratic.
question.
And so every
Ms. McCabe,
police
that is
officer
not
that
my
I
question.
spoke to,
Let her finish.
every police officer that I spoke to, I tried to answer their questions the best I could. It took me hours and in some cases days to remember all the things that Miss Reed had said. My mind, I was in a state of shock. But the minute I remembered, she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. I called Officer Lank.
And your memory is getting better even as we sit here today, correct?
There are certain things I will never forget, Mr. Jackson.
Including the fact that you never, ever, ever said, she said the words I hit him to a grand jury when you were asked about it 3 months after the incident. Correct?
She said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
You never told that to the grand jury, did you?
I don't remember specifically that every grand jury and everything I said, but I can tell you with 100% accuracy, she screamed, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
You never said that to the grand jurors.
I don't recall if I did.
She screamed it?
Correct?
The truth is, she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
You were asked that specific question at the grand jury. What did she say at the scene in front of the female EMT? And you know what your answer was? You do, because you just read it.
I wasn't asked what she was said at the scene.
What was the answer to that question?
I'm objecting.
The objection sustained. Ask one more clear question, Mr. Jackson.
What was the answer you gave in answer to the question about what was said by Miss Reed to the EMT, the female EMT at the scene? What did you say she said?
I don't know if I was asked specifically what she said to a female EMT.
All right, we're going to end this now.
Your Honor, may I have one more question?
Go ahead.
I can't end it like this.
Okay, jurors, ignore the comments of counsel. Ask one question, Mr. Jackson.
You said that she said, could I have hit him? Did I hit him in the presence of the female EMT? That's what you testified to under oath at the grand jury, isn't it?
Yes, because she also said that.
All right. So, folks, we are done for today. You remember tomorrow is the day that we're not in session. So we will see you Friday. Friday is a full day.
Get tomorrow off?
I have to give you those questions. You can stay and file out after the jurors, Ms. McKay. Please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into the case. If you happen to see, hear, or read about the case, please disregard it and let us know, and be very careful with your social media. Have a great night, a good day off tomorrow. We'll see you on Friday.
And 10 seconds after 4 o'clock, the jury is out of the courtroom.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, jury. For 2 days. Alan Jackson, so frustrated at the end of that. Jen did well at thwarting his attempts to get information. Everything he got out of her, it was hard fought, and it required probably more effort than it was worth. Let me just say that. It required more effort than it was worth, and so the wins didn't come with the ringing bells and the blaring trumpets that I think AJ wanted, because Jen, smartly so, has the ability to, instead of just answering the question, rephrase it, repackage it in a way that's a little more friendly to her.
Mr. Jackson, I'm not rushing you in any way. I just want to know, how much longer do you think you'll be?
I appreciate that, Your Honor. 10 seconds.
Sure, take your time.
Take your time now.
I would expect that I would say an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Okay. Mr. Brennan, do you have any idea how much longer you will be?
With Mrs. McKay?
Yes.
It depends on how the rest goes, but certainly at this point, 20 minutes or less.
All right. So that will hopefully take us to the luncheon recess, maybe. I mean, the morning recess or the luncheon recess at most. You have witnesses lined up for Friday afternoon?
I do. I have a number of witnesses ready for the next 3-4 days, and I've given notice to them, and I will try to tighten the order tomorrow morning, and I'll let the court and the defense know.
Great. All right. And nothing you need to see me about right now?
Not for the Commonwealth.
All right. All right. We'll see you on Friday.
Wow. Wow. Oh, what a way to end it. Mr. Jackson did not want to end it with her basically getting a victory. And she did. And at the very end, it was muted. It was muted a little bit, but he wanted to end with a win. This is something the jury's, the last thing in their heads for 24, 48 hours. He wants a win in their heads, not a loss on his part. I see in chat, people love her, people hate her, right? As far as the testimony goes, it really falls along the lines of where you look at this case and where you feel the guilt or innocence lies. Wow. What was AJ's comment right at the end that they told the jury to disregard? I will play it for you. We happen to have a replay machine that lets us do just that. So let's go back here. Listen one more time.
What she said to a female EMT.
All right. We're going to end this now.
Your Honor, may I have one more question?
Go ahead.
I can't end it like this.
I can't end it like this.
Okay, jurors, ignore the comments of counsel. Ask one question, Mr. Jackson.
You said that she said, could I have hit him? Did I hit him in the presence of the female EMT? That's what you testified to under oath at the grand jury, isn't it?
Yes, because she also said that.
All right. So, folks.
So, I can't end it like that. I can't end it like that. That was spicy. That was spicy. And we've got another hour and a half. I imagine it's still going to be spicy to the finish. I think Alan Jackson wants to leave in the jury's mind an impression that is not positive about Jen McCabe. I think that's a safe bet. All of us can agree on that, no matter where we sit on the trial and where we view the guilt or innocence. Alan Jackson wants the jury to look at Jen McCabe and not think good thoughts. They don't want to think, there's a truthful witness. I really liked her. She was forthcoming and answered all the questions. So you can imagine that we're going to get more of this frustrating back and forth, trying to pin you down, comments, objections sustained towards the end. It's probably going to get spicier, but it's not going to happen until Friday. I do take issue. I've said Jen McCabe has done a lot better job this time around than last, but that is starting to crumble a little bit. The back and forth, she's standing ground that I think she should give a little bit. I don't know how anyone can say to a yes or no question about did you call other people, and you say no to federal investigators when in fact you did, that's not a lie. In her mind, I think she thinks that because I didn't remember at the moment that I was telling the truth. I don't think that's how it works. So that looks bad on her. The whole, every time a witness gets up and testifies, over time my memory gets better and better. I struggle with that because my memory doesn't, so it's hard for me to imagine that other people's do. I realize that's an unfair assessment or a scale to hold that up to, but it just doesn't make sense to me that over time memories get better. Memory does fluctuate. Yes, we are going to see. Here's what we're going to see, and we're going to see it more when there's redirect tomorrow before lunch. Minister Brennan gets up and starts asking questions again. Guess what's going to be fixed immediately? Her memory. Her memory is going to be fixed, and it's going to be fixed by Mr. Brennan in some cases because he's going to ask leading questions. And they're going to be objected to and sustained, and then he's going to ask another question that she's going to answer and rephrase the leading question. That's what he's been doing all along, and that's okay. They both do that. But her memory in general, in answering questions for the prosecution, is going to be better, and that's consistent with trial number 1 as well. I don't even dislike her. I don't like the elusive behavior and pushing the narrative instead of yes or no. I think the jury gets tired of that. The jury sees when it takes 2 minutes to get a 30-second answer out of somebody, that somebody is fighting against it. They see that either the anchor has been dropped and you're refusing to be dragged somewhere. They see that as somebody who's not willing, who's not necessarily just here for the truth. And they'll catch that. But at the same time, they might also not like Mr. Jackson at all for his style. So, lying by omission, my ex-husband is an expert at it. This is Midlife Media. Like Dr. Wolf the other day. Yeah. I didn't see the same with Dr. Wolf because Dr. Wolf gave yes/no answers. Very, very precise answers to questions. Very definitive answers. Where the answers we're getting today from Jen McCabe are more conditional or nuanced, and she has a very hard time saying yes to anything that the AJ says. This is what happened, correct? She, even when she agrees, she will rephrase it and change the words and sometimes insert something else to say, but it was different every time. Dr. Wolf got shady. I didn't see him at all at the same level that we saw with this witness. If anything, he's much. He doesn't have a dog in the fight, really. He doesn't even have a wolf in the fight. But, yeah. Just answer, let the chips fall. This is an important thing, and I think most good attorneys will tell us to their client, just tell the truth, right? Get up there and tell the truth as you're testifying. If, they ask you a question that makes it seem wrong, that's like, wait, you're making me say, yes, technically that's a yes. I'll clear it up on redirect. I'll get up there, we'll clear it up, we'll fix it. Just tell the truth. And I think it would have helped a lot if she did that, because Mr. Brennan would clear it up on redirect. He's not a new lawyer. Okay, this guy's extremely professional. He understands the case phenomenally well. And every time Mr. Jackson tried to score points, like he has done with previous witnesses, he would come in and say, is it not true that XYZ is actually the case? And he just wants you to look at X. He will be arrested for Friday. He will be. Everyone's going to have a fresh set of legs for them. Candy Kiss says, I can't lie. I found it very frustrating listening to her answers, so I understand why Jackson's getting annoyed. There were a couple things I was frustrated with, and her saying that telling the federal investigators that she didn't call anyone else was not a lie, when she did call somebody else, and it was just minutes before. And I'm starting to get a little frustrated with the I can't recall, where she comes out preemptively and says, I don't recall anything I said to any other officers that day in any part. As the preemptive response to, did you talk to anyone else? That's literally waving the white flag that, the attorney can't go around, because now she doesn't recall. You can't question her on it. And he tried all these different fronts, and the judge shut it down. She says she doesn't know about it, so you can't. That took a little preparation. Chat can breathe tomorrow. What are we going to do tomorrow? A little court hopping, maybe? Dr. Wolf hasn't been blamed for a crime, to be fair. Her level of defensive hits different. It does, and she's been through things. Okay, I have not witnessed any of the harassment or anything that way, but I can imagine that that to some extent what she has said has definitely happened, that this is not pleasant, that there are people who say very hurtful things. There are thoughtless people that have intruded on their lives and their neighborhoods and their businesses and everything else, and done so wrongfully. I believe wholeheartedly that their life has been miserable in many aspects as a result of this case, which they did not ask for, right? I still think she should tell the truth, the whole truth on the stand. And I get the impression that she's not fully truthful. All right. I still think she was a pretty good witness, though. So, like it or hate it. If Karen Reed's found guilty, this case will be discussed in so many rooms due to lawyers, judges, protesters. There's a lot of things to consider. Who was Dr. Wolf? He was from ARCA, and he was just here on Monday for the half day after the jury left for the hearing with the judge. Remember the judge's ruling yesterday where, I think it was yesterday, where she said, Mr. Alessi, you're going to win this one. Just so I'm not going to let you argue. Just sit down. Hey, my wife's in chat. How are you doing? Genjo says that makes me feel better, much better. Let's see. Looking for what she said. It was obnoxiously believable if this is the first you've seen her testify. I agree, and I think the jury, this is a first for them. All right, I see red flags with Jen. Also, trauma doesn't always make your recollections clear. Neither does. Remember the Alec Baldwin case? Remember the Rust shooting case? The big problem they had in that trial was that they rounded up everybody on set and herded them into one big group and let them talk for a while before they started doing interviews. Do you remember what a big issue that was? That you're like, whoa, you didn't separate the witnesses. They got to compare and contrast their stories and what they observed and what they saw and what they heard before you talk to them. That's a huge issue. And in this case, we have the same thing. It happened behind closed doors, and it happened with a family that, right or wrong, seems to be a little bit protective of that event. And maybe it's just their privacy. Maybe maybe it's because of how they were treated afterwards. But it does make you question a little bit, especially when everyone comes out of that room telling the exact same story. All right, that takes us to the end of the day. It is 4:15. We have to kill the power at my house, actually, because we're trying to connect the electrical and see if it works. So I have to be done here so we can shut off all the power before it gets too dark to see what we're doing. And I'm not sure if we're going to get to that tonight, honestly. Mrs. Uri, I'm not sure, because I have no idea what to do with the breaker. It scares me to death. I don't know what switches turn things off and what doesn't. But anyway, yeah, if they had nothing to do with this, they've been treated terribly, terribly, terribly. think AJ won today, says Stephanie. Jen just won't answer yes or no. Why? What's the name of that AI song app? Suno. S-U-N-O is the name of that. I'm not sure what we're going to do tomorrow. Possibly a little bit of court hopping, but nothing else. Can you redo the wiring at the courthouse next? Can change out a fuse or something. We'll figure out what to do tomorrow. We might look back at this case a little bit. We might do a little court hopping. But either way, it's going to be a lot of fun. Please be here tomorrow. It would be a lot of fun. Tomorrow night podcast at 8 p.m. You don't want to miss that. That's going to be great as well. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live again tomorrow morning, probably around 9. Get to sleep in a bit. Y'all get to sleep in a bit. There might be another hearing we can watch tomorrow. Possibly. AJ sounds rattled. We'll see what a little sleep does for him in a day of rest. Well, guys, we'll catch you tomorrow, and then we're going to pick up this case with Karen Reed again on Friday. Did I already give my outro? Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live again tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. We'll see you then. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bigger than you. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than all of us.